But considering we're a few minutes behind here, I do want to keep things moving. We will revisit that poll and the answers here. But very excited to introduce our first client guest here, Leo Martin at Redux. And I want to say a very sincere thank you to Travis Wilson on our customer experience team. You know, I've got the chance over the years to speak with many of the clients that Travis works with, and there's a very common thread across the clients that they're very pleased with his approach. And he set up this interview for me with Leo and Dustin, and I just really appreciated him getting that established. But Redux is a very cool company with a patented technology that you're going to hear more about. Then they're expanding into new markets, and Leo was brought on based on his expertise in cloud to help them really scale and grow their organization through his cloud experience and to get into some of these new markets. So really excited to turn things over to Dustin and Leo. And Leo, thank you again so much for joining us. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Happy to be here.
Good morning, Leo. So where are you joining us from, Leo?
I'm just north of Indianapolis in Fishers, Indiana.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, maybe you can give us a little bit of a background. Who is Redux, and some of the things that are critical and important to you as the leader there?
Yeah, of course. So Redux, I have the pleasure of having a physical device company instead of software, so I can actually show you what it looks like. So Redux uses patented electrothermic drying processes to remove moisture from electronic devices. So this process combines high negative pressure in a vacuum chamber with a gentle heating source to allow for the evaporation of water from the inside of electronic devices at room temperatures. So we have models in a variety of sizes and deployed primarily across retail storefronts and wireless retail stores and phone repair shop, that kind of thing. But our new target market is the audiology front, where like the AirPods I'm wearing or hearing aids, which are becoming more and more popular across the country and across the world. The inside of your ear is really just a humidity chamber, and the plastics that they make hearables out of are happy to attract that moisture and contain it inside. And when you've got such a small package, any amount of trace moisture can greatly reduce the effectiveness of your hearing aid, or even like the sound of your AirPods. We have people come through all the time, and we'll dry them out, and you wouldn't know that they were wet. They still function, but they're twice as loud after we're done drying them out completely. And really, the secret sauce is we have proprietary algorithms to tell us how long, how much moisture is left based on humidity readings, so we can judge how much moisture was originally in the device. And then as we take vacuum pulls and slowly extract moisture from that device, we can tell when it's reached an endpoint and when it's completely moisture free. And then we can also report back to the user how much moisture was removed. So your audiologist or whoever can say, wow, you've got really humid ears. We should probably do this more regularly to ensure you're most effectively getting use out of your device. So that's a quick overview on what the product is.
And so maybe tell us a little bit about your team, what you guys focus on, what your areas of opportunity are.
Yeah, so we are still pretty new. I've been around for 6 years now. I am employee 11 here out of 12. So my background was primarily in DevOps and software development, but obviously in a company this small, I'm wearing a lot of hats. I'm in the technical operations department, if you could call it that, and we're managing a multitude of things from physical electronics, supply chain, procurement, manufacturing, all the way up to backend infrastructure in the cloud now, and some software development as well. much of our modern day challenge lies in the supply chain, having a physical product where microchips and things are just vanishing from the face of the earth right in front of us. But as we've been working through those transitions and redeveloping and redesigning products around supply chain hurdles, we've also been doing a lot of work on the back end, obviously through Intervision and on our cloud solution, which we'll obviously explore more here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so maybe tell us a little bit about your journey to the cloud. What does that look like? How did you start it? How did you even make the decision that the cloud was critical for you?
Yeah, so we noticed pretty quickly off the bat when we were making giant dryers to dry cell phones, when we hadn't quite perfected the technology yet, that our end users were going to need a way to track who was using them, whether or not they had like paid for a subscription. If you're in a large retailer, you got to integrate with their ERP system and all of that. So it became very clear quickly that we weren't just going to be able to build devices and ship them to people and call it a day. That we were going to need a way to bridge that gap between the customer, the device we sent them, and then like our support team and our IT operations team here. So we initially engaged with Intervision. At the time, I hadn't started yet, and there were lots of great software minds on the team, but none of them had public cloud experience yet. So we were looking for something that could allow us to continue to focus on perfecting the devices and the technology, and kind of keep our hands off as much as we could from the business critical processes that were going to be running in the cloud. We had developed the software in-house that would need to be running, but we were fresh out of ideas on how to deploy that in any meaningful way. So Intervision stepped in as our partner to in the private cloud initially in their St. Louis-based data center, and we launched our software that we've been developing to allow our devices to talk with us and to our customers, and even with some iOS and Android apps, so that in the stores they could run the machines remotely, and that really allowed us to continue to have the overhead that we needed to get everything done that we could with 8 people at the time, without running off and hiring 6 more people to run a DevOps team for us.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the critical decision maker there. We were less cost focused and much more focused on a solution that works and get us from point A to point B, however we need to. And we rewrote that solution for a number of years, and truly minimal work on our end that Intervision couldn't handle for us. But basically anything that it's a relatively small environment, and knock on wood, things break relatively infrequently. But anytime anything came up in the private cloud, they were on it right away, and really just told us after the fact what had happened and what they did to fix it, or what they updated, or whatever that particular piece of the puzzle was there at the time.
That's great. So as we managed that for you in your on-premise, which is a very common approach. Many organizations think, let me get this right in my on-premise, and then that migration to the cloud becomes more seamless, and that's certainly one great approach. But then when it started to become time and you realize, hey, we need to think more about public cloud, maybe talk a little bit about what we did, how we partnered together, and how we helped you through that journey.
Yeah. As I joined the team last year, and we were kind of doing some deep diving into where we were at today, and kind of designing where we wanted to go in the future. Um, we again turned to Intervision, who was open to helping us, um, even just explore the avenues of what a transition from private to public cloud might look like. Um, at the time, we had lost a lot of our need for like super high SLA requirements and things. Kind of shifted our software platform away from storing customer data and scary things like that. So we had a little bit more flexibility, and obviously now that we had some ability to take on some of those challenges and understand what a world in AWS or Azure looks like on the team, we were doing some cost analysis, and it really became pretty evident that we would want to move away eventually from a private cloud model, and we could really utilize the scalability and cut out some overhead cost with a solution, which in our case ended up being in Azure.
Mm-hmm.
But
so did I mean, so this is always one of the things that a lot of organizations think about. They go in with grand goals on, what the outcomes are going to be. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what were the actual benefits that your organization was able to recognize, and how has that helped your organization overall?
Yeah, definitely. We've been in the public cloud for a few months now in Azure, and really it was the relationship with Intervision that got us over the hurdles to feeling comfortable with executing a task as daunting as migrating your environment looks like from afar. And truthfully, along the way, it was the lack of pressure that we felt that really set us up for success. We obviously got quotes from elsewhere on migration, and Intervision was inevitably going to lose some chunk of revenue based on us saving cost in the public cloud versus the private cloud. But they were more than happy, and Travis Wilson walked us hand in hand throughout the entire process there, making sure that we were still getting a high level of service, not only through Intervision, but also through, I got recently acquired SciComm, who he also set us up with, so that we could still, really cost was the primary driver for us getting from A to B. And now that we have it, now that we're here, we're exploring the new technologies and things that we have access to, now that we've got everything finalized and working here. So we brought on SciComm, Intervision brought on SciComm to help us handle the more mundane patching, monitoring, antivirus type tasks for us. And that solution really gave us the best of both worlds. We get private cloud level expertise and service. We don't have to spend our weekends waiting for updates to install on servers, and we still cut in half what we were spending in private cloud spend versus public cloud spend. And so I have the flexibility to explore where our pipelines and software running in the cloud should go in the future, whether that's serverless or any other number of Azure offerings, while still not having to commit half of the team to making sure that we don't have a single outage in the next year. So that really opened a lot of doors for us, and we're definitely grateful that this relationship has gotten us to where we are today.
That's great. So I guess one other question here that I think that a lot of, as a leader, what advice would you give to anybody on the call who's thinking about dipping their toe in the public cloud arena? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, obviously, it's a daunting area to be in, and the easiest path is often to do nothing and be like, "Oh, that's cool," but that's scary and a large undertaking. And yeah, really, we explored a lot of avenues in the lead up to this decision, and we read and reread everything that anybody gave us on potential solutions, and got high bids and low bids and middle bids, and really tried to exclude that from our decision-making process, and focus on what was going to, in a business critical process, we can't really, we're not going to be cutting corners here. So who was going to enable us to get through this the smoothest, and allow us to have backup plans and fallover plans and disaster recovery all set up nicely, patched up and done from the start, so we don't have to have any early day concerns with things falling apart after we've cut over. And we consulted people, even people that I know that I had prior worked with, who had undergone migrations, whether between public cloud providers or from private to public, and those that try to do it themselves have some wonderful horror stories of that it was supposed to take 3 months and it took 5 years, and really that's that helped to solidify our decision that we needed to use a partner who does this every day of the week, and really it took less than 90 days for us to have our entire environment migrated over, and a good portion of those days were waiting on us to facilitate some piece of information that we hadn't facilitated yet. So truthfully, the Intervision piece was completely smooth sailing, and I had not. I consulted quite a few people, and none of them said it was smooth sailing. So
yeah, it's
really
interesting. I have that conversation, Leo, a lot with people saying, there's no point in becoming an expert at something you only intend on doing one time, right? And so
exactly.
yeah, so that's awesome. Well, Leo, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining. And maybe we'll see you when I'm out in Indianapolis in a couple weeks. But thanks so much for your time. Chris, any closing comments for Leo?
No, just absolutely. I mean, can't tell you how much we appreciate it, Leo. Really, really appreciate your insight and time. And we'll certainly be sending you a gift for your time. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Absolutely.